Hi, this is George Whitty. Welcome back to my studio, where today we're going to dissect a solo that I took on a track called You Rang. This is the studio version of this that I and Rick Fierabracci and Dave Weckl recorded. I chose this one because it's available as a play-along thing. You can get one with the drums muted, one with the bass muted, or one with the piano muted, so that whatever instrument you play, you can play along with Rick and Dave. It's a thing I hear it in 3/4. Some people hear it in 6/8. You can take it to 12/8. Ideally, you're kind of doing a polymetric thing on it like they do in Cameroon. I've done a lot of gigs with Richard Bona where we have fun with that. You know, he'll shift it into 6/8. I'll play in 12/8 like it's a shuffle for a few minutes. But basically, I hear it in 3/4. It's mostly a modal piece, playing on E minor 9 or playing on G major 7 with a sharp 11. There are some changes in it as well, and they're not particularly difficult changes, but they're kind of interesting. And in the changes section, which I don't think we'll have time to get to in this lesson, most of what we're going to look at in this is that we're going to take a look at what scales I'm using as I play, and particularly what notes those put on the beat. We're looking back at the first lesson and the 8-note scales and how they outline a particular harmony on the beat versus between the beats. We're going to analyze this for that. We're also going to take a look at where I go when I go outside the harmony and why, and that brings up kind of a large issue of substitute chords and substitute progressions, because when you've got just a pedal point, a modal piece, there's really no limit to what you can superimpose on that and play on. We're going to take a first look at approach patterns, which is a great way to glue other elements of your playing together, pentatonic scales, 8-note scales, other things like that. And we'll spot some of those in here and see how I'm using those. We'll see a few licks from this person or that, kind of inevitable. I'm a Freddie Hubbard fan, what can I say? And we're going to take a quick look at the left-hand comping in relation to the melody, which is a big topic for future lessons, as well as many lessons on two-handed comping behind a soloist or over a groove. So without further ado, let's take a look. I'm going to play the solo first, and then we'll dig in and start analyzing it. Now this piece of music actually picks up on the page in the first piano break. You'll see the cursor come in, and we'll follow along from Okay, we're going to take a look here at what's going on. Let's play it. This first part here, it's just kind of coming on down in sort of an F7th scale is how I look at it. Or you could call it an E-flat Mixolydian scale. Then when we get here, you can kind of see that what's being outlined on the beat, if you look at these notes, is an F triad. And the thinking there, as I've discussed in the first lesson, is that what you're outlining on the beat is kind of what the listener perceives as the harmony. And I want to give a clear F sound over the E flat, just because it's an E flat major 7 over G, but I want to get that Mixolydian sharp 11 sound on there. So that's what we're doing there. Go back a little bit. Okay, now here, looking again at what's on the beat, we've got the B flat and the G, about as inside as it gets on an E flat major 7 chord. But then here I'm superimposing an E triad. And the thinking here, what's going through my head is that just briefly I'm going to B flat 7 altered. And I'm just going to, it's even just only one couple beats worth of it. But I like the sound of either an E triad over a B flat 7. So I'm going there, or maybe we look at it as a C sharp minor 7. I think I'm really just looking at it as an E triad over B flat 7. And again, I'm outlining strongly the E quality of it. So we go outside for just a second, and then we're back in here. Here at this point, I'm also substituting a quick chord, and what I'm looking at here is a D7 altered substitution, and that goes on through the next couple bars, at least in my mind. If we look at what's on the beat, we see a B flat, a G flat, an F, an E flat, and these are all, I'm looking at it as a D7 altered chord that I'm going to resolve to a G minor 7th chord. And the G minor 7th being just the upper structure of the E flat major 7th chord. And the way that I'm working the D7th sound is with an E flat minor bebop scale. That's how I'm thinking about it. So here's the D7 altered. And the scale I'm using is kind of this. We're going to discuss those in a future lesson, but this is all happening over this. And this, they look like more or less wrong notes on the page, the G flats, but if you're looking at them the way I'm looking at them, you know exactly where you're at and why you're playing them there. And you're going to make a really strong resolution when you bring it back in. And that's sort of the idea of substituting a change like that and then blowing over the change with a real clear outline on the beat. Moving forward here, we have little changes here, and God bless me, I am not making that much of an effort to hit those. I guess we see a C sharp in here. I'm catching them with my left hand. So then this resolves back in, right around in here, we're looking back at a G minor 7th chord. Look at what's on the beat. We have an F, a C, and a D, and the B flat right in there. So that's how I got back out of the D7 altered sound. Now here we have just some stuff. It's just a line. Again, laying on the A there. I want that sound rather than an A flat. And that's about it for substitutions and things of interest in this bit of the solo. Now we're going to move forward to the second piano break, which you'll see the cursor come in, and that's here. So let's take a look at this. Here we're just kind of coming down with a little chromatic thing, definitely laying on the C sharp to get that sharp 11 sound. Then we come down here, and right here is something that we're going to get to in a future lesson, which is really kind of a cornerstone of a lot of jazz playing, and that's an approach pattern. And this is one of several. I'm playing chromatic from below to chromatic from above, and that's my target note. If you're playing bebop scales or pentatonics or anything like that, this kind of thing just appears constantly, dating back to Coleman Hawkins. It's something that's been part of the jazz vocabulary forever, and getting a good handle on these and a good handle on bebop scales is a really great foundation if you're getting into playing jazz in sync in the harmonic pocket, as I've talked about. So that just goes, and there's others too, and these are all approach patterns, and we're going to discuss those in future lessons. Now we're looking further in the solo. This little bit right here is just a classic Freddie Hubbard lick. And again, looking at what's on the beat, we have the B and then an E flat to the D. But part of what I like about this is that he's laying the E flat on the beat, which accentuates it, that accentuates the tension. And then it resolves on the next thing. Okay, now in here, let's take a look. This is just some standard issue E minor 7th stuff, but then here we have an F minor sound with the C, and the A flat on the beat. And here again, the thinking is that I'm sticking a quick D7th altered chord in there, and I'm playing an F minor pentatonic on it, which is this sound. So that's how I'm looking at that, is that just for a minute I'm going to dip off to a D7 sound and play that F minor pentatonic sound over it. And you don't even have to illustrate anything with your left hand. It's almost better if you don't. But that's the thinking. I wanted to take it out there for just a second, and that's what I did. Here, let's play this line. Here we have another approach pattern, and this one is double chromatic from above to chromatic from below, and that's the target note. And there I'm kind of laying on the C sharp, which is a good jazz note on an E minor chord, the natural 6. Coming on down here, we're just still kind of outlining. I'm looking at it as sort of just an E minor or maybe an A dominant sound. And then we're going to dip down and just play some figures in the low register. I'm sort of spiking these low notes with my left hand, just to sort of accentuate something off the beat. We're going to analyze this, and then that's going to be it for this lesson. These figures here, I like to play this fourth structure up just because it gives you a real sweep up the keyboard. It moves quickly, it opens things up. It's the polar opposite of a lot of chromatic action. And again, I'm looking at this as my D7 altered sound. And then we get up to here, and here again is one of our approach patterns. It's an A to an A flat to an F sharp, and the target note here is the G. So this is a double chromatic from above to a chromatic from below. And then here I'm just kind of arpeggiating my way down until we get here. And this is just basically some chromatic coming down, a little constant structure figure. Then I double it up here. And when we get here, we start to see bits of an A7 bebop scale, an A7th 8-note scale. And the additional note in that scale is an A flat between the A and the G. It's kind of chromatic down here, getting there. But look at what's on the beat. There's a C sharp, a B, an A, a G, a B, and an E, and another G. I'm resolving from the chromatic action at this point, and I'm kind of playing most in sync with an E minor 6th chord. Right here we see the little bebop scale note, and then it continues. We've got, on the beat, we've got an E, a B, an A, and a G, and there's the little chromatic passing tone right there. When I'm playing, coming down especially on an E minor 7th chord, I like to play an A dominant sound because it puts the C sharp right on the beat, and I like the sound of the natural 6 on a minor chord. So that is a look at why I played some of what I played. We haven't even really gotten into much of the solo yet, but these are the kinds of ideas that are going through my head when I'm soloing on a modal piece. If you're playing already on bebop tunes, if you're playing Stella by Starlight or All the Things You Are, we're going to take a look at the many different things that you can play on, for example, a dominant chord, the different colors, and then once you got those under your fingers and you're playing on a modal tune, just a single pedal point, in this case an E minor or a G major, the many different ways that you can take yourself out by running a little substitute chord or a little substitute progression and putting really strong stuff on the beat, making a really strong structure so that the listener comes with you and you know exactly where you're at in relation to where you want to go, and you can make a really satisfying resolution of the out stuff that you play. And that's it for today's lesson. There will be much more of this stuff in future lessons, and I'll probably continue to analyze this solo and some other ones that I've taken since I know what I'm doing and why. But that's it for now. Thanks for visiting.